Hello everyone, and welcome to Ludo History. As usual, I am Adam, and today we are playing the prologue demo to Gloria Victis Siege Survival. So, Gloria Victis is actually an MMO that, if we're honest, seems to be not super great. It's one of those games that's been in early access for a long time, and it has super mixed reviews on Steam. But the idea is it's a explicitly medieval-inspired, very low fantasy world that you can do combat in, run sieges, open field combat, basically to try and do what they think medieval warfare looks like. So this is gonna be a bit different. This is in the same universe, but instead of it being an MMO, it is a single-player experience that owes a lot to this war of mine. So the idea, as we'll see very quickly, but we'll start right out the gate with a lot to talk about, so I want to get things out of the way first. The idea is basically we are civilians, we are non-combatants that are hiding within the fortification walls after the town we live in is attacked and sacked, and so the town has been overrun, and then the keep is being besieged. And our goal is to gather resources, build stuff, survive, and try and help out the defenders to attempt to hold off the siege or break it. So, there's so much going on. And so, disclaimers before we get in. I am not a military historian, and the siege is a topic of some contention in medieval studies, it seems. I've been doing research on it this week to try and get ready, and there isn't a lot written on what civilians are doing. It's really weird. Civilians are perceived of in the Middle Ages as kind of nuisances when it comes to a siege, and they aren't necessarily prepared for the sheer quantity of people, so that'll have some interesting things. Also, there's going to be some game design analysis, which is, I think, super cool. As I said, this game owes a lot to this war of mine. If you don't know, that's a game set in the Serbo-Croatian Wars, following the collapse of Yugoslavia, where you're playing a bunch of civilians inside an abandoned house in the ruins of the city as fighting is going on. And at day, you will huddle in, do kind of interpersonal relationships, building, resource management. And then at night, you have to go out and gather resources, and you might die. So, the ways in which this diverges from this war of mine, and the ways in which this copies this war of mine to try and enhance the medievalism, or the kind of fake Middle Ages of the game, is something that's just super duper interesting to me, and I think I have something interesting to say this time, so stick around. We'll hop straight in. First things first, Vikings. Wearing deer antlers. So, yeah. We're starting off extremely strong here. AC, if you're here, heraldry. Big heraldry alert. But you can see, like, we're looking at late medieval arms and armor for the castle defenders and for the castle itself. And they're being assaulted by Vikings, who are not engaging in good ideas. But that's okay. And Horde of Books, thank you so much for the Prime subscription. Hey, that Viking has a very non-Viking sword. That sword is 13th century. Oh, actually later. That's a 14th century German falchion. So that's, or a Grossmesser would be another way of phrasing that. And kaboom. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. 6th day of summer, the year 1205, Kingdom of Midland. So they've identified us as being High Middle Ages, but also Vikings. We were just starting harvest when the Ismir struck out of nowhere, catching us off guard. Horns of war surrounded the city, sounded throughout Edring, and the smoke-filled city city streets ran red with the blood of its citizens. The savage warriors from Kargold had invaded our home. So, a media thing here, the Vikings in this game are not really being used as a nuanced society. They're a generic brute force invading thing, which is okay because that's how medieval chroniclers imagined the Vikings to be, as just this kind of horde that shows up out of nowhere, does slaughter, and then runs away. That being said, the slaughter they're doing is not unique to them. Everyone did it. Being a civilian in a city that was being sacked fucking sucked. Good call, Maraxa. Good call. I was gonna talk about the music in the title screen and then forgot to, so thank you, Johnny. The music is incredibly like Witcher 3, slightly LOTR-y fantasy music. The string instruments are real. We're not going for our horns, we're not going for like Wardruna or any of the like Norse-y metal bands. We're going for super depressing solo violin with background strings. It is great. But yeah, I mean, I also don't mind the aesthetic here. It looks rad. It is a fictional universe, and it's using it for a very visible shorthand. The town guards fought bravely, but the Ismirs were too many. Before long, the raiders were in the main square, and the city center stood in flames. All they could do was send a messenger out to summon aid, while the outnumbered guards focused on protecting... Chat, who are we protecting? The fleeing citizens, or the workers salvaging supplies? Also, how this... Good. If the town is garrisoned, which did sometimes happen, Paris in the 9th century, for instance, was garrisoned very thinly against a massive Viking raid in 885 into 886. But in the High Middle Ages, Roman towns, or formerly Roman towns, are kind of the centerpieces of the fortified city. Especially going into like the 14th century, the castle itself kind of falls off a little bit, or moves into the cities. Not fully, but a little bit. And so a lot of the garrisons and food stockpiles end up moving into these big fortified cities with dedicated guards. Yeah, this basically determines just what our starting stuff is, Johnny. So, right there, they're going in. But which one are we saving? Citizens running away or workers salvaging supplies? By the way, they don't seem to have any stockpile in this game. The Bastion really was not thinking this one through. But medieval people always had grain stockpiles for hopefully multiple years. In ideal circumstances, you're looking at about 3 years worth of supplies for a small garrison at kind of best conditions. We got 1 vote for citizens and 1 vote for save the workers. If we were in the Middle Ages, I'll tell you, we are working on the salvaging supplies. That is the choice that almost always happened in the Middle Ages. The idea that we're saving citizens is very much noble, selfless town guard and the best serving and protecting the people. Now, we'll talk more about citizens in a bit, but oh boy, they get just shafted in a siege. So we'll go with the workers here. We'll actually stick to our medieval aesthetics. Knowing the fate of the castle depends on food stocks, the guards gave their lives to help salvage as much as possible. Will the extra supplies help us survive the siege? It was up to the rest of us to ensure the sacrifice would not be squandered. The bloodshed continued unabated. Street by street, square after square, the Ismirs overran the city, murdering anyone who didn't escape in time. True. Exception. Any women that were not, that did not escape in time would probably be sexually assaulted before they were killed. Yeah. Unfortunately, for any army in the Middle Ages, looting of people and of treasure, of food supplies, and the rape of civilians was just kind of expected when they took a city. Like, that's just part of the pay, kind of. which is awful. And oh my god, it's awful. So they aligned that one a bit. Anyway, monsters figure, do they have a giant? Or do our barracks get bonked? Yeah. For instance, a great example of that is in 1453, Johnny. As you know, when Constantinople was taken, Suleiman was like, no, you're not doing that. And oh my god. A great way of establishing some early goodwill if you intend on sticking around. And, you know, it's super uncomfy in the Middle Ages, and all the art of just war was like, don't do that. And then it happened anyway, so it's almost like the philosophers writing Just War were trying to justify the unjustifiable just a little bit. Anyway, chat. Cast your votes. Which one are we doing? In the meantime, they do. It's a good question, you know? Let's actually... I don't actually know. I chose the other one on my other playthrough. Because that might happen. It shouldn't happen. And actually, there's a thing here that's a little bit overkill. Monster. The idea that a single rock, presumably from a trebuchet, is obliterating a tower like this, probably not gonna happen. Not really what they were trying to do. The bombardments sometimes would try and bust down the walls, but more frequently would be looking at throwing stuff over to damage this much softer houses inside the fortified area. So, this one's actually a little bit fancy, like Lord of the Rings, the tower crumbles spectacularly, or Game of Thrones, the thing crumbles spectacularly, more than actual... The walls are thick. They shouldn't be doing this. Monster. Oh, it's just not Kernunos. It's the guy we saw in the beginning, wearing the antlers, and pretending that he's Kernunos, as if that makes any sense. It doesn't make sense. Stay tuned for Saturday to know why. On Saturday, we're doing the Glaucester arc with Watcher and a Welsh historian. And they're going to suffer. So, you want to subscribe, make sure you're ready for that. Anyway, apparently he's very tall. We took shelter in the keep and took stock of the situation. Supplies were limited and the Bastion Gate was badly damaged, cutting us off from the defenders. No doubt the Ismirs would soon attack again. The castle, the only part of Edring still uncaptured, was now under siege, and it was up to us to support our soldiers as they fight to stave off the enemy until relief comes. Cool. So as far as this goes, this is actually something that happened. I think it's in Bristol in the 14th century. There's a case where the town is captured, but they don't capture the castle garrison. And then as soon as the rest of the army leaves, the town revolts, the garrison makes a sortie out of the castle and slaughters all the occupiers. There's a few other places it happens. I know I can't remember what specific castle because I lost the reference. Because I found it on Monday, I lost the reference by Wednesday. Because of course I did. But as far as this goes, you know, this is actually a super plausible thing. And unfortunately, while some garrisons would absolutely let you, come in here, especially early in a siege, a lot of civilians would have a problem. You recognize the man before you. It's Bertram, a local carpenter. You're relieved to see he survived. It's clear, however, that the events of the last day have scarred him in some terrible way. He just sits there, seemingly unaware of your presence, shivering and pressing his hand to his chest. As you check him for wounds, you notice something in his tightly clenched hand. It's a small, scorched doll. You suddenly realize this man has just lost his family. There's nothing you can do for this kind of pain. Still, perhaps a warm meal might snap him out of this state of shock. However, the kitchen was destroyed by Ismir trebuchets. You'll have to build a fireplace first. With all this debris around, you will surely have no difficulty finding firewood and other useful materials. And yeah, there is a lot of stuff going on here. Firstly, really glad that they're acknowledging the fact that this sucks. Perhaps our most famous siege comes to us from the, that's a stone. Yeah, we want to build that. It probably comes to us from the early 13th century with a thing known as, or the siege of a castle known as Chateau Gaillard, Richard the Lionheart's castle in northern France. In the early 13th century, it's besieged under Prince John, because, of course. Let's actually just make the 3 there. That should be fine. And let's collect that. That should have some food in it, probably. This is actually a really good tutorial, also, for what we're going to be doing. Rotten food, but fresh eggs. Alright. Let's go. So. The Chateau Gaillard was besieged for 8 months, basically. The initial surrounding fortifications fell within a few weeks, but the chateau itself held for 8 months. And initially, they tried to actually hold on to civilians. But there's such a severe refugee crisis, as people are from people fleeing the outlying settlements, that by the time they are a few months into the siege, they've pretty much exhausted their supplies. Certainly the garrison was not prepared for nearly that much material, that many people. And so they kicked all the civilians out, and the French army didn't take them. And so you end up with these horrifying reports from medieval chronicles of people crouched around the walls of Chateau Gaillard, scrabbling for grubs and rotting horseflesh, because that's all they could get to eat. That is this, and that is, as Kate Stevenson on Ask Historians User Sun Against Gold reminds us in a answer from a few years ago on sieges. Those are the lucky ones. Those are the people who didn't die, who weren't killed immediately, or tortured, or sexually assaulted and then killed. Those are the ones who were able to get in at first. Those are the ones who had a chance of surviving. Being a civilian in these sieges sucked. And so, you know, this is a place where leaning into the trauma that you're experiencing, and that civilians would be experiencing, even though we're doing something about it, is, I think, a really, really interesting take that doesn't get explored in a lot of medieval games. Right, this guy is... This game starts heavy. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly the same as Siege of Elysia Watcher. The kind of exterior fortifications that were built up by the French army, and then the interior castle fortifications that were protecting the city, and then that's another case where they end up in between. That's another one of the big sieges, and it's just awful to imagine. That being said, sieges are not... Well, let me revise that. Sieges are incredibly common in the Middle Ages, far more so than field. Okay, actually we get to see our town here. But far more than field pitch battles, sieges are way more common. That being said, sieges are still not all that common. A lot of the times we're looking at maybe a couple hundred people involved in these. Like our huge, grand, cross-European armies, we're looking at maybe 50,000 in, like, the First Crusade. For the most part, the smallest garrison I've seen for a castle is 13. So, you know, a lot of our sieges in like the 11th century are really poorly made fortifications, garrisoned by a few dozen people. And then knights are running around with their kind of retinues of maybe 100, and they're kind of surrounding that. And they'll stand for a few days, and then they'll surrender, and they'll switch hands, and then they'll repeat. So, these big horrifying sieges, while they happened with quite a lot of regularity, are not the universal experience of the Middle Ages, and in fact they're not even the dominant experience of the Middle Ages. So, it's kind of a little bit of balance here. Let's just acknowledge it. Anyway, we can actually get to see our town here. I kind of like this town. So, the castle being up here is correct. And the idea that there's a district close to it that's nice is correct. And the castle is up on a high place with an easily fortified area here where they can access fresh water. Amazing. Right? This town is great. The castle is right on the sea, super defendable, good. This is very fancy district, right? The Temple of the Forefather being a separate thing is very fancy district. Basically looking like, you know, not the Vatican. Right? This is not Cathedral District. But, you know, overall, for a fancy city, I don't really have a lot of complaints about this. It's fine. It's fine. Unfortunately, you know, despite this, they apparently just landed the non-Vikings landed somewhere here and just took this city instantly. They just came in by sea, despite it being on an island. Because apparently we forgot to fortify the rest of the island. Whoops. Anyway, so it's not obvious that this is this war of mine yet. We are going out at night to scavenge supplies to attempt to make it through the next day. We just have the added twist of we are trying to do a civilian stuff. Right, we're trying... Yep, civilian got hanged there. Well, the boyar got scorched there. Oops. So... Unfortunately, yeah, things are not... For some reason, yeah, I'm confused. This is a bit heavily contrived. As you see the workshop, you see something has changed. Oh. The boyar's corpse has been taken down. An old woman leans over the body in the shade of the tree. She is sobbing, exhausted, and you guess she must be his mother. She had risked her life to cut her son down and bury him in a shallow grave. The woman struggles to move her, but she hurts herself with the axe under his belt. The woman has started to see you approach, but you see relief in her eyes as she realizes you want to help. Once the corpse is buried, she gives you a small sack and silently walks away into the dark. So we get some arrows and some valuables. We do not, however, get the axe. Also, we're hurt. So, not great. We're also on a time limit here. You can see there's actually a lovely medieval mechanical gear here depicting our passage of time. I'm enjoying that greatly. And once it gets up to daylight, we need to get back into town. So, this shows one of the things that I think is really different from... the gate is collapsed. This is where the gate to the Golden Corner, the wealthiest district of the city, used to be. Used to be because the gate, struck by a trebuchet projectile, has collapsed into rubble. No doubt there would be a good pickings on the other side, but is it even possible to clear a passage? Alas, the rubble is compressed and blocked by several collapsed ceiling beams. The way they're jammed, they could only be moved from the other side of the gate. Darn. Anyway. The thing that strikes me as being super different from this war of mine is that this is isometric, or pseudo-isometric, right? We are very much, can I move faster? We are very, very much, looking at, you know, dang it, I'm out of what do I actually need here? You know, we can probably drop the materials right now. It's not great, but we can grab more of them later. So, anyway, the thing that I think is kind of our base point for understanding this, and our isometric viewpoint, is that I think we should look at this as taking something, like, mixing this from... Oh, crap. There was an enemy there. So that was nearly really awkward. Anyway, I think we should take this as having an inspiration in some way from Age of Empires, of all things. Right? We've got a very kind of stylized aesthetic with RTS gameplay elements on this isometric map. Everything here is kind of screaming Age of Empires-like in some way. And that's, you know, super duper interesting to me, because of course it is, that Age of Empires is seen as, or in fact just is, an important and useful referent to understand how medieval games should look and should play. So we need RTS kind of stuff. You approach the city gate from the market to the harbor. It would be an incredibly convenient shortcut for our nightly journeys. The door, however, is solid and definitely shut. If the Ysmirs haven't been able to breach it, we need a key. But where could it be? A good question. We'll probably not find out. You know, I don't know the aesthetics of Titan Quest all that well. But is that another one of the RTS medieval strategies, Johnny? Let's take a look at these other aesthetics. One thing I like, even though, you know, our guy here is, extremely, you know, dull gray. Oh, Diablo with Greek myth flavoring. Okay. Yeah, Diablo's, I think, another good reference point here. That's also full. We're getting close to day, and so it's giving us big flashy warning lights. But, as we take a look at this, I like a lot of this aesthetic, right? We've got the wattle and daub houses with these big, heavy, pointed things, which is looking like a very much late medieval style. I appreciate that it all has shingles. It's, like, it's cheap, but fine. And our guy, his outfit is kind of gray, but I love all the color on these market stalls. This is super good. Like, that is a super good bit of medieval aesthetic-y stuff. Yeah, we've got some color. Like, our guy's got green. You can see now that's getting bright. But, for the most part, we're looking at pretty basic stuff. And then a very kind of English-inspired archer thing stuff. Tabard. Here in our dead soldier. By the way, super sneaky castle. That is the least sneaky castle. The night was calm, but the enemy assault can come any day, and we must prepare for it. We should use this chance to help the soldiers at the bastion. It seems Bertram is feeling much better. The loss of the family has had a crushing impact on him that only time can fully heal. Nonetheless, finally, the carpenter has recovered from shock and is ready to rejoin the fight. It was Flint, right? He asks. I remember you visiting my workshop once or twice with Gulvik. Thank you for your help. And now we should take care of the animals and find fresh water. Bertram is right. Fresh water is paramount. There's a river. Unless if that's supposed to be sea, we're on a river. Fresh water is paramount. In a stroke of bad luck, the castle well took a direct hit from the trebuchets. Still, maybe if you clear away the debris, you might repair it somehow? We gotta try. Let's try. Well, you will try that, and we'll try and do stuff. Oh yeah, Bastion. Send to the Bastion. Arrows. Get a bunch of stuff there. We do get some water, so that's... Oh god dang it. You need to do that. You need to do that. There we go. Let's sleep, let's collect resources. Collect resources and check the thing. You remove the debris blocking the well. Sadly to no avail, the well's base has been crushed by the trebuchet projectile. The shaft itself is blocked, and there's no way to clear it out before dying of thirst. Bit contrived, but, you know, I do appreciate that they're trying to explain, you know, that the castle does have a source of fresh water in ordinary times, and that the fortified yard of the castle is vulnerable to things being lobbed over the walls. Both of those are totally fair, and so there's nothing inherently impossible about a trebuchet or some other siege projectile smashing the well. Exactly. We need to go out into the market. Fresh water is just a resource we can find. So, you know, is what it is. I don't know. We may be able to get more fresh water from, you know, like the harbor or any of the other places there. Hello, please. Nay. There we go. And then we'll try and make stuff. Ah, dang it. Bertram, my guy, don't do that. Okay, we pretty well cleared up the yard. Another thing they're doing super well. One of the things we've got here that we don't seem to otherwise much have. We've want to build that. One of the things we don't otherwise have much of is... Okay, we have no... We do have fodder for them. Awesome. I want to save that to try and make fodder, I guess. So we'll feed the animals there. Yeah, it's not really a very impactful mechanic, but it is, you know, annoying. Let's see, you've got... Nay. Click on you. You want to go bandage yourself, because you're injured. Dismiss, and dismiss. We should make some food. And nope. Make food. Okay. We will then need to... Oh, we need to get the butcher's table first. God dang it. Okay, let's make 2 torches. And then Bertram will have the... Who's hungry? You're sick. You are thirsty. So... Drink. And yeah, now we have the problem of, you know, we're constantly spending resources. Which is pretty... I actually think it's pretty cool. Alright, see you, Johnny. Yeah, the range mechanic I don't think is all that impactful, but it exists. They're sad. And you are tired. Because... obviously. Oh, I have no beds. Where can I make... Where can I make a bed? Can I make a bed? I can not make a bed here. Can we make one at the workbench? I would love if we could make a bed. We cannot make a bed. Can we make a bed here? We need to make some planks, I'm sure. Let's just make some of those, and then... Once we have planks, we can see if we can make some beds. Or... Do I need to make the bed over here? Where can I make the bed? The fact that we don't have one already is a problem. Build new bed. Dang it. I used my things to make planks when I needed them to do other things. Unlucky. That is what we call deeply unlucky, and night is getting close to falling, so, once Flint finishes making his stuff, we're gonna send him to sleep. On the ground. Awkwardly. Nope. Stop walking slowly. Anywho. Let's take a look at this kind of castle area. Oh, or never mind, because we are... Sleep on ground. Scavenge the city. You can fit 9, you can fit 8. Okay. Let's go. It is, but... The reason why I say that that's a bit weird in this context is that in the late Middle Ages, firstly, beds were common. It's not like this is some grand... you know what I didn't bring? I didn't bring a torch. You know what I wanted to bring? A torch. That's awkward. That's very awkward. But that's okay, we've got plenty of days here. And honestly... Hey! Drinkable water. To be honest, we don't have a lot of reason, to be in a rush. So, we'll just clear out places nice and slowly. And we'll be fine. Oh, we can't get up there because we need a torch in order to bust that. Because there are enemies. Or there are corpses that are rotting. And the way you deal with rotting corpses is burning them. Because... Sure. Don't worry about it. No, KJ, Bertram is noisier because I'm having him run everywhere. That's the only reason why. Other than that, he's actually... Everyone does naturally move basically silently. I'm just double-clicking on things in order to be able to run. So yeah, Chad, I'm kind of curious on your thoughts here. What are kind of your thoughts on an upgraded fireplace? Well, guess what? I can't upgrade the fireplace in the prologue here. So, big ol' rip there. So yeah, I'm curious what you guys think, especially about, you know, this existing in a sort of weird, like hybrid of having a lot more RTS elements where this war main was more actiony, while also in some way trying to preserve... Ooh, hang on. That's a neat thing. Also trying to preserve this kind of sneaking out and doing stuff. The neat thing I mentioned here is that there's actually a, like, leather rack here. I think this one's supposed to be leather, not parchment, though you use similar ones. The only reason I say that is that you can still clearly see fur on this animal skin, which you would not if this was parchment making. Anyway, more water. Good. We need that water very badly. One thing that's interesting here is that we don't know a whole lot about what medieval civilians are doing in sieges a lot of the time. We just don't really have that information super available. People aren't writing it down, and it's been understudied so far to find out what stuff we're going on here. So what this game decides to do is having the non-combatants basically be trying to gather resources, try and maintain stuff. This is to some extent really probable, just because within a castle town, the garrison is supported by the townsfolk anyway. Your blacksmith is not a combatant, all of these groups Let's go Bastion. What stuff can we actually send? I can't send any of that. Dang. I don't have anything to send. You need to thirst. Yup. Clean water, drink. Build a bed. I don't have any of those to build a bed. Why do I not have any of those to build a bed? That's no good. Ooh, actually, we have eggs. So. We have rotten food too, but we don't have a lot to do it with. Anyway. Yeah, the idea that there is sort of... Oh, good. Let us craft another... Oh. Duh, we need to make some firewood first. Smart. We've got plenty of stuff right now, so let's make 9 of them. Oh, and here's another thing this game adds. You can get bombarded. And then, being bombarded, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. Because it will just kind of randomly do stuff. You can see they'll just kind of bounce off the walls here, no problem. But, if your guys get hit by these rocks, it hurts, as it turns out. And, if your guys... Well... Don't get hit by rocks, I think, is the conclusion. There's a safe spot here, where the walls of the bastion here, which is, by the way, a lovely Gothic castle. Debris can't fall in there, but... Otherwise, we can rapidly get into trouble. And the battle has ended. The defenders fought bravely, and the enemy has suffered heavy losses. So where are we at? I can send a bandage, I can send some rocks. I can send a rock. One wounded, that's not a big deal. We don't have any arrows that we can make, I think, so... Sorry, actually, let's double check that first. Can we can make tools. We can't make... We don't have... Wait, what? We need iron for that, don't we? Okay. We will, however, make these, and then folks... Remind me, chat. Garrison morale is stable. Good. Good, no one was killed, and they suffered heavy losses. So this is actually something where the game, for the sake of having an engaging gameplay loop, and it's a totally understandable thing, make the siege tactically very questionable. Because sieges, especially on a well-fortified castle, can last a very long time. As I said, Chateau Gaillard held for 8 months, but the longest one I've ever heard of is a siege of somewhat over a year. It's like 68 weeks or something absurd. So, like, you know, assaulting every few days just means you're gonna get into trouble. If the initial assault fails, you're best off kind of just settling in for the long haul instead of trying to repeatedly storm the walls. That being said, it's totally understandable that this happened, and for a lot of less well-fortified places, assaulting after a few days of starvation, especially on a tiny garrison, was often successful. So, you know, fair play, can't really fault them for that. But, yes. And KJ, yes, projectiles will wreck the stuff if they land on something you built. And then you'll have to rebuild it. That's bad. Also, there is a safe spot right behind the keep itself, but that is limited in size, and so you can't put all your stuff there, especially as we get later into the game. So, you know. One interesting thing they don't have here, that garrison morale is stable. That's super good. A lot of medieval military ideas come to us from, wait, what? I can't send that? Okay, I'm gonna send the rock, I guess. I don't have the stuff for a bet, so you will have to deal. Anyway, our main sort of medieval source is absolutely, fine, we will send that too. Victis' De Re Militarii, so a Roman source, but in the works of, say, Christine de Pizarre, a super successful female author in the French court in the 13th century, she lists a ton of super expensive things, including saffron, which is dumb expensive now as in the Middle Ages. I wonder if I can make food here. Can I make fodder? No, I cannot make fodder. Where can I make fodder? Oh good, we can make a butcher's table. So, part of the one interpretation of why this is that without it, totally reasonably, Nate, you do that. Totally reasonably, without good food and without making your soldiers feel valued, you will get into trouble. Because, duh. It turns out that doesn't, well, actually, let's see if we can carve this before night falls. Oh good, that lets us make more fiber. That's actually really good. And we need one more rod of food to make fodder, okay? So we're not going to be able to make that, but right away in the morning we'll be able to make that and then make our bed. So, good news for us. Anyway, the interpretation is basically you want to make your soldiers feel valuable. Because if your soldiers feel valuable, their morale stays up better. Turns out, not a surprise. And part of the way you do that is by, well, giving them expensive things, even if it's not technically efficient. Also, we can hide in bushes. Just know that is important for reasons. And without shovels, we can't clear any of that way, so no merchants for us. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Objective. Very helpful. Collect items that will help the soldiers. Not wrong, but also not the most mind-boggling revelation you could have ever had. Anyway, this is the main use of torches. You can use them exactly once. As in this war of mine, items are useful once to do one thing, to let you access a new place once, and off we go. Having burned the corpse, we can now access up here, and whatever they've got, which is, so far, not necessarily a lot that's helpful. Hey, damaged light armor. That is valuable. And that still is filthy water. I still don't want filthy water. I can't boil that to purify it. Which, oddly, right, that's a thing, actually, they have you let you do in this game. Despite it not actually being something medieval people conceived of, right? Boiling water is not a way to purify it. Rather, filtering it is. So, that's a case of kind of modern knowledge on how to disinfect something, getting in the way of the medieval conception. Just a little bit. Oh wow, lots of stuff in here. You enter what appears to be an abandoned cottage. Inside you find an old man in torn clothes, sitting in the bed by the corner of the chamber. Someone is stretched out on the bed. It takes you a moment to realize the person on the bed is in fact a burnt corpse, half covered with some old sheets. The old man sitting by the bedside sobs uncontrollably. He seems drunk. The cottage is poor, but he knows some of the man's belongings that can seem useful. So we can either, steal his stuff, do some pillaging, or we can let him grieve. Let's let him grieve. I think, you know, we only have to get through the prologue. We don't need to survive long term here. We only need to survive a few days. So, let's let him grieve. Don't be terrible human beings. And having decided to not be terrible terrible human beings, he maybe is actually like doing stuff. That being said, being in this cottage is probably not great. And hey, actually, the aesthetic totally changed the moment we got around here. As we entered a new place, away from the market, we're suddenly not in a wealthy district with lots of... Ooh, we have an iron there. How thrilling. We'll see what we can gather here. No particularly huge deal. But anything we can get is good, so... the torchlight there means someone is coming, so... dang. You approach an old chapel to the forefather. The door is shut, but you remember inside there's a tunnel connecting with the temple's courtyard. So that will let us go to another district, but unfortunately, hide. Please don't be seen. There's an Izmir guy right there. And we're good. Don't know how this guy didn't get into a lot more trouble a lot faster, given that he's in this very poor thatch. You know, you can tell it's poor because it's thatched. Smart. Oh damn, is he just patrolling right around the house here? Is that what he's doing? He's dedicated to the cause here. Or is that just a random... Okay, we gotta get out of town. We're out of time. We'll get here. Anyway, it is a very dramatic change to these thatch, and this does very clearly, medievalist fantasy thatch TM, in that it looks like it is thatch spread out over planks to be a fairly thin layer, all said and done. But in reality, thatch is this big, thick, like 6 to 8 inches of straw to actually have insulative properties. So, you know, a little bit standard fantasy simplification, but that's okay. And you're now fine, and you go talk there while Galvik builds a bed. It's Galvik again. He looks even worse for wear than before. The last fight must have been intense. He tells you that there are wounded soldiers after the Izmir's assault. The defenders desperately need weapons or need bandages, and their weapons need repair. And scouts have seen soldiers of the Sangmar Empire to the south. Is the Sangmarian fleet here to attack our lands? Or are they going to strike the Izmir's back? For now, they're a great unknown. Having told you all he could, Galvik returns to the Bastion. Looking at him stumble in exhaustion, you can only wonder if you will see him again after the next battle. He should be sleeping. He's... Wait, did you finish crafting? No, you didn't finish... Build the freaking bed. None of that. Meanwhile, what else are we going to make? It's the butcher's table here. We want to make a fodder. And then we'll look at doing some other stuff once these things get built. Okay, good. You are done. So, what else can we make now that we have tools? I think we should be able to make a herbalist workshop with these tools. No? Not yet? We're missing planks. Okay, that's not a big deal. We can make those. Plank, plank, plank. Let's make 10 of those. That's probably fine. Then... start working on those. Awesome. So, Dragon Wolf, how much of this stuff was known in the time period? The answer is frankly not a whole lot. A lot of things that were done were done because they worked, and so, like, knowing the why they worked is different from knowing that it worked. And there's a lot more knowing that it worked than why it did. And since boiling something, deals with things you can't see, fairly straightforwardly, you know, then it's just not actually the case that that people would necessarily think of that as cleaning something in the way that, you know, filtering out the dirt would, or just making sure that the source is clean in the first place. And remember, in general, like, water pollution is a lot lower in the Middle Ages than it is, in the modern period. And so that makes it a lot more reasonable. Anyway, you guys go over there. He's gonna try and limp through. Actually, we don't need him. We don't need him to finish limping through that. Cool. We can actually give them just 2 fodder right now and pretend that's fine. You don't need to do that. You're just gonna go to sleep because sleep in bed. And now we're gonna build another thing. That would be deeply impressive, and I'm very grateful to say, no, the idea of the water being so oily that it lit on fire is not something they would have thought of. Anyway, can we send anything here? Broken axe. Nope. Don't want to send that. We will, however, look at sending that and that. I guess that. We've got plenty of food, so I will send the makeshift bandage. So we'll send all of that as soon as we can. This is another change I actually super like. You know, the idea that we are not only sending ourselves or sending resources for our own sake, that we are actively... I did send back the damage thing. That's awkward. I believe, yeah, that's the one we want, so we'll build that over here. And hopefully we've got enough time. How are you doing? You're working on it. Right, water isn't filthy, so yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess Greek fire counts, but a little bit different vibe, you know? Oh, that's what I need to do. I need to take that. And then... ah, dang it, we didn't finish. You're going to scavenge. You're going to sleep in the bed. Okay. Let's go. I don't think we need anything, as far as, you know, torches or stuff was concerned, so we're just gonna go for it. Play a little bit risky to get in, and then hopefully be okay. Going to find more places. But yeah, and you can really see it here. Actually, I don't love this house. It's very stereotypical in a bad way, I'll say. Oh. The evil red glow means that there's a bad guy. It's not just fire. Cause... Ooh, there was herbs there. Herbs? Where did you go? One vegetables. Or maybe it is just fire. Huh. Well, that's not at all scary. It's fine. We're fine. Lots of stuff there. Holy cow. Oh, no, there is the bad guy. See? I knew he was around here somewhere. Anyway, these houses should probably be, actually, they look like they're longhouses by design more than anything else. But we should be mostly looking at kind of a wattle and daub construction like what we see on these, even if the roof is thatch. It's not like they're suddenly using straight planks of lumber, because that's actually a higher status. Lumber is expensive and hard to come by in any decent quality. And so while these there's a weird aesthetic going on here where it's, I guess, oh, that would have me walk right through the center of things. I think, yeah. Super weird thing going on, wherein, I guess, we look at wattle and daub and say that that's cozy. And in being cozy, that is, higher status than is actually the case in the Middle Ages, where that is truly the basic of basic building materials, because it's a mix of mud and sort of... I don't actually want the valuables right now, I want these. So, yeah, I should probably start heading back. We'll take one more place here. I pray that that smoke doesn't get me into trouble with anything. There's more burning stuff there. And that's all just crap water. Okay. We're gonna start making our way back and, guess we're gonna go this way? Pray that it's all fine. God, this is not a good angle to be working with. Yeah, and see, there's the guy there. We should be good to make it back, though. I'm curious if there's only... No, there is a guy... It's kind of... perma-watching that, which is scary as hell. Holy moly. So there's one guy on patrol and one guy perma-watching. But anyway, yeah. Well, the shape of this is right. I mean, wattle and daub is planks of timber with a mud and thatch mixture supporting it, which can then be whitewashed for further insulation. So, right, so this thing here actually is too much wood. It's weird, right? Modern associations of rusticness must equal high status when that isn't necessarily the case. Really high status stuff would be brick. Okay, you should finish building that. You seem to be okay, so, let's look at building that again. And now we have the herbal... Nope. You should work there. You should work there. There we go. Actual bandages. So we can make two good ones, which is probably good. And then... Huh. Oh, we can use vegetables to create fodder too. Okay. No big deal. Oh, everyone's still tired. God. Oh, no. Okay. You're thirsty. Well, that's fine. You'll finish the crafting first and then you'll go. And you are also thirsty. Okay. That's good to know that that can also slow down our work efficiency. Keeping that up is going to be important, especially as we're going. We're on day 5 right now, so the siege is still in its early days, to be honest. But let's take a look at the castle here. Obviously, you know, our chance to fight back is not here. Another thing this war of mine doesn't let us do, you know, actually fight back. The goal is... the win condition is different, right? Especially once we get our machines rolling, it seems like we maybe not we may not be totally losing all hope. Like, we're instead might actually stand a chance. And if we stand a chance, then we can actually maybe do something about it. We'll see. Soldiers have nothing to eat, I know. Oh, and you're critically exhausted, which is not optimal. So, Flint is going to start doing a lot of the work here, because he's got to get to bed. He's sick, he's not feeling well. He should really look at getting some medicine and then getting to bed. You're a bit hungry. So, I actually should be able to... that's using inefficient materials. We need to split more wood first, and then you are just gonna go to bed. Yeah, I know we should. Thank you, Bertram. You were about to fall over, so... Oh good, he's good at fighting, he's good at building. Uh-huh. Meanwhile, Flint has extra backpack space. Okay. Let's take a look at what we've got going here. Obviously we've got a lot of stuff that needs to happen in very short amounts of time. Let's make 2 more of those. That should give us plenty of stuff without... because we're going to give most of it away, and then we need one, and then tomorrow Bertram will need one. So, I'm not worried on that front. But we need to repair the axe, and then also need to look at making... we're going to repair the axe, we're going to repair the thing, and then the armor, and then we're going to take a look at if we can make arrows. And then we'll be making progress. We cannot be making arrows because we don't have enough things there. So, sawhorse. Odd that we need planks for that, but that's fine. Actually, let's just make the one. Because time. Turns out, working by hand to make planks is very hard. So, yeah. Anywho, chat, I am still curious. What are your guys' thoughts of the game so far? Come on, please. We're so close to nighttime. Don't do this to me. And, of course, you're doing a lot of stuff, so suddenly you're tired. I would really like if it can get me up. We are close to getting another worker, I think. But I agree. Survivors are hard to come by. And remember, survivors need stuff. Bastion. Rock. Meal, meal, meal. Actually, we'll send 4 meals, I think. Armor. Thing. Arrows. Arrows. Water. Ah, dang it, it didn't let me send it all. Boo. Okay, I mean, I gotta send him out. And I don't have any... yeah. I did see there was a thing we needed a torch for, so we'll try and make that happen. Oh, we do have fertilizer. Okay. Exciting. And yeah, the sieges are just not, or the valuables are just not worth anything without, we didn't make that into a meal, and so it's going bad. Awkward. Yeah, I mean, we're actually making pretty good progress right now, as usual. You know, these games always take a long time. I think any crafting-based game takes a long time for its stuff to actually really get going. Because you need your kind of feedback loop to start doing its thing. Can you do anything? Do you do anything? No? Fine. Wonder if I can actually get to that. That's what I thought. We need to be very quiet. Because, of course... Hello, dried meat. Thank you. That is a handy, handy thing. Ah, yeah, there's this big whole wall here. And a bunch of fresh water. Neither of those is a shovel, though, which is what I was actually hoping for. Wait, what? You didn't see me? Do I want to know how he didn't see me? That was fine, I guess. I don't need more of those, so... See if I can sneak past this guy. He is really very much in my way. Yeah, that's what I thought. Every night you avoid being spotted or you stay in the castle, the alarm level will decrease a bit. By contrast, get spotted multiple nights in a row and the alarm level will rise to the point where they're guarding every corner in the city. Yep. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. Still fine. We're fine. Got him out of the spot. Getting back will be exciting, though. Oh, damn it. Let me in. Hey! You pass a ruined house once the property of a wealthy merchant. Suddenly you hear yelling, the shouts of several men speaking a language you don't understand, and a screaming woman. Could it be Ismir's? Oh. You see two Ismir standing by a half-fallen wall. The third enemy, approaches the terrified woman and pushes her forcefully to the ground. Moments later, she draws a knife and rips the attacker's guts wide open. He falls right on top of her, rendering her defenseless, and the others rush to her in rage. Well, we tried. We tried. I don't need the water right now. Oh no. Oh no. Run! We're double wounded. And it's daytime anyway, so let's get out of here. That went poorly. That went extremely poorly. I didn't exactly want to push the wall on them because, you know, that seemed like it was going to be dumb. Well, that's okay. Flint, can you make a regular bandage instead of a makeshift one? Yeah. Oh, that just makes cloth. Okay. Let's make 2 cloth then. And some of our food is rotting, so... Oh wait, sorry, it's you. You do that. Make a meal using the... Yeah, fine, I don't care. Well, so we lost, I think, the next recruitable character, because we chose to fight them instead of not do that. Oh, that's not good. Those are flaming arrows. That's a lot of fire. That's a lot of fire. Though, I would make a note. I want to make a note that the thing that lit on fire was my fire. So, wait, what building is on fire? See, any of my buildings on fire. Hello? Oh. Okay. You want to eat a meal? And then get some water. And then, where do I craft a bandage? Is that here? That's the repair workshop. Nope, not there. Not there. Harbor workshop? Those are makeshift. Where can I make... Peculiar. I don't know where I can make bandages. I do have a makeshift bandage, so like it's not the end of the world, but... Yeah, not available in prologue, not available in prologue. So... Firewood planks, axe light armor. Boo, so I think I'm just making all that cloth for no reason. Which is awkward, as it turns out. Not a huge fan of that. Nay. Flint, go to bed. You are sleepy. You? Take a look, yeah, and I don't have any fibers anymore because I used it all to do the obvious thing. Yes, let me do that. Because boiled eggs are just people. But yeah, fire arrows. Amazingly, the Vikings actually may have used fire arrows. There's an Arabic chronicle from the 12th century that says, hey, we've got... We lost a lot of light armor, we lost a lot of arrows, we lost an axe. We lost our rock, we lost some bricks. Took some wall damage. But otherwise we did well. Anyway. Can't build a lot of anything else, so... one thing I did want to mention, Christine de Pizan's account of what you need in a siege does include chickens and no other actual livestock. Everything else is dried and salted food that is meant to be preserved. So, you know, fair play to them. Fresh fowl is absolutely the right call. Ah, boo. No, actually, I need water first. I know you're sad, but... I guess let's make as many of those as we can. And then we'll grab a bunch of these back and then see if we can repair any of them. Oh gosh, that was 2 10 stacks. That would be nuts. And we'll have to send that in the morning, I think. Unless if actually... we can quick sneak that before it falls tonight. That'd be nice. Huzzah! And now night has come. Yeah, basically exactly what that is. They are absolutely lower maintenance than any other livestock. They take up less space than other livestock. They don't eat the same things that people eat, which is important. And they provide utility all throughout, because milk is not all that important when you already have a store of cheese. Ah, damn it. You know what I didn't bring? Didn't bring a torch. You know what I needed to bring? A torch. So, what we may be able to do is pretty limited tonight, I think. We'll see how far we can go, though. So right, they're not really competing with you for resources, and equally importantly, they're not really competing, they provide you with utility, all throughout, which is a handy-dandy thing. And, you know, the utility we are really, really in lack of? We really want a shovel right now, and we don't have one. We either, like, there's a torch there that I could use, but I kind of need a... shovel or a torch. One of the two. Oh good, we can slip by there. Just barely. And guess what we didn't get? Either of those. And yeah, I don't always know what to feel about— oh, crap. This is potentially bad. We'll grab that and then duck around the corner. Good, there's a hiding spot. Yeah, because I don't know about— oh good, we can actually turn the camera angle. That is quite helpful. Because the patrol is intensified right now for the night. We're sneaky. And now I wonder what happened to the other old man that we had run into in this very, very poor district. Oh well. We kinda gotta get out of town. Cause that patrol is still zooming. We'll try and get the thing tomorrow. Where we can actually burn down the thing as quickly as we can in order to actually access the rest of the map of what's available for this prologue. There's not a whole lot left, actually. I think there's one more assault before the prologue ends. Or it may even be this assault. So, we are almost at the end of the game of this demo. Oh, no, we are at the end of it right here. Report. An imperative voice breaks the silence. You recognize Maurice, the stern woman from the town guard. Notice we are in a fantasy world. Part of what that is that you have women do men's jobs, and otherwise domestic or non-combatant female labor is still underrepresented. You just have women do sword fighting too, which is fair and good and reasonable, but also misses something, you know? And kind of all medievalist media, and by medievalist I mean media that mimics the Middle Ages without necessarily being set in it or explicitly. You have women, you show gender equality by having women do male things, and then having nobody do what in the Middle Ages was considered female work. Right? We are barely doing any crafting, or, you know, crafting of cloth is simplified down to something incredibly basic, right? That 10 seconds the guy can do. That's something that kind of bugs me, because really you want everyone participating in everything, and recognizing that it's hard and is both emotionally and physically laborious, and highly skilled labor, and that the important state of being is not necessarily doing fighting, but that everything is important and valuable states of being that everyone can participate in with diversity, and that work gets done. Viking media is really bad about this because, you know, a sailcloth is incredibly difficult to make, but really all medievalist media does this, right? We've got the badass female eye patch town guard, but both of our survivors are male. And we're doing female labor simplified down to you click a button and it's done in 10 seconds. Anyway. So the premise here, actually, at the very end, is that, you know, they went over to scout in a siege, as if... That's kind of ridiculous to me, not because people couldn't slip out. A lot of castles did have ways to access local rivers, and since, you know, right, our castle here is built up on the cliff next to the river, you could have a tunnel that leads down to the river and someone could slip out that way. But the idea that you really need to be doing a lot of scouting during a siege is dubious. And yeah, you can also sally and have the sortie, where a group of soldiers will come out to kind of counterattack, you know, to try and break the enemy camp, or to sap something, or destroy some of their stuff to weaken their morale and make them give up the siege. That happened all the time. That doesn't sound like what's going on here, because she says the civilians should be doing it. These aren't sorties. This isn't something that you sally out with an armed force, defending the gate, go. This sounds like it is an individual sneaking out to try and get intelligence to help defend things. Which isn't... If you've been surprised this badly, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Right? This garrison seemed completely unprepared, had no stockpile, really no significant stockpiles inside the fortifications, had no warning that it was coming, didn't gather any resources from the surrounding countryside, wasn't able to have people come away, and didn't burn the surrounding area, which was a common tactic to deny the food to the enemy, right? Anything you can't use, they can't use either. So, we've already kind of screwed the preparatory phase to this, so going out, I'm not really sure what benefit Galvik has by going over the wall to go scouting, but that's okay. Also, our weapons break with shocking frequency. But, even so, for the sake of narrative, like, I don't hate this. As far as this goes, not being able to spare garrison, because you only are operating on a few dozen people. And in fact, if you remember, like, our numbers we've been looking at on our relative strengths are all really small. Like, I think we peaked at, like, 30. We're not looking at a huge thing here. But, consigning that onto refugees is not wise, but also is not a choice I fully hate. Hey, I've been doing good. No, well, it's kind of what we're here for. civilian refugees in the Middle Ages are perceived of as a drain on resources, not something that can provide resources. And that's why they get turned out, like I talked about earlier. And that was the demo. We screwed some things over, but, you know, even at the very end here, we actually have an interesting thing. Our guy in the back there? That guy's a Spartan. Right, so we got a Viking and a Spartan. We've got both our medieval warrior fetish fanboys drooling over here. Because our bad guys are Spartans and Vikings. And oh my god, you need enough hypermasculine, uncivilized invader aesthetic. Yes, it's exactly Ares and Kernunos. But you know, overall... oh, actually. Harsh medieval world TM. I hate that phrase so much. The standalone MMORPG. Gloria Victis. The glory of strength. Harsh medieval world is dumb. That's a dumb phrase. Like, that is quality Dark Ages posting, and, you know, this aesthetic definitely fits that as well. As does the rate at which everything breaks. Right, their armor just kaboom, and not just little kabooms, big kabooms. Their axes had big kabooms. The halves of every axe is made out of balsa wood over here. So... still. Let's go back to the menu here. Please? Oh. Game froze. Uh-oh. Yeah, KJ, pretty much exactly. Everything is grey and brown and dirty and sad and dull and painful. And you know, at the same time, something this game does, or that this game appears to be doing super well, is leaning into the sheer trauma civilians are getting. Right, there's a whole lot of trauma going on there. And that their experience can be truly filthy and miserable in warfare. But that's not all the Middle Ages is, and in fact, one thing I like about this game also, in addition to that civilian focus, is there's a de-emphasis on kind of noble knights, as representing in some ways a fairly nuanced picture, right? People are just tired. They become always tired and worn out and stressed, and it takes a toll on their mental and physical health, and a lot of work needs to go into sorting out people's morale and trying to keep people cheerful, even in sieges. And so there's de-emphasis on, like, the big knight, though I expect at the end, like, the good ending is probably a big cavalry charge that sweeps away all the bad guys, and off we go. Fine. Where this game has me a bit worried is the, you know, their enemy types. If the Sagmarians are basically a Corsair stereotype, so the Corsair is referring to Barbary pirates from the early modern period, this could get really ugly really fast. In that it's basically presenting a peaceful, good, high noble, civilized French, English, vaguely, kingdom that is under threat from a group of people coded as Viking, who are ultimate kind of raiders, and with codes of shamanism and sort of nature worship, and therefore coming up with kind of I don't know, I guess Christian supremacist though not straightforwardly white supremacist, but definitely Christian supremacist. And then having the other bad guys, or wildcard, be Arab coded, or Islamic coded, which I don't know that they're gonna do. They didn't show the ships, and they didn't show the people, but if it is, that creates basically a septentrionalism, or an Occidentalism, as a weird, like, northern othering, and then an anti-Islamic othering of Orientalist tropes. And that can be super duper yikes, so I'm worried on that front. That being said, I am hopeful for this game. This game, I think, does something really interesting in exploring the things that civilians might have been able to do in a siege, and trying to really represent the trauma, and not having you just stand up on the walls being the hero. You're just people who can't fight. There are people who can't fight, and who are going through some shit. And that's actually cool. I like that. It's a topic that's underexplored in historiography, which, until the, 80s, actually early 90s, was really focusing on the knight as our unit of medieval combat, and still does. If you've ever heard the comparison of a knight to, like, a medieval tank, or worse, a medieval nuke, you know this vibe, right? Really overemphasizing the heavily armored cavalry shock troop knight. Admittedly, medieval people also overemphasize that, but instead lifting up non-elite stories of town garrisons and non-combatants operating in a medium fortified town, medium wealth town, not really poor, but not really elite either, and seeing how their experiences kind of fit into the Middle Ages and medieval warfare. That's super cool. I think this game can do something really interesting with that. I think it picks its influences well to try and make that happen. So, this wraps up the stream. If you enjoyed this, make sure you follow and subscribe. On Saturday, we're going to be back with more Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is, as I said, going to be the Gloria Strashira arc, with 2 guests. It's going to be Watcher, and it's going to be a Welsh historian, PhD student at the University of Cambridge. And we're going to subject them to whatever the heck Gloria Strashira is. I'm excited. I'm going to be very amused. It's going to be hilarious. I expect they'll lose their minds. But also make sure you join the Discord server and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm currently working on a video on kind of Viking environments. There's no Vikings like Snow Vikings, so that'll hopefully be out by the end of the month. And so special video essays there, and the VOD will be there on YouTube as well for your pleasure. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. Want to support the channel? Spread the word, get more people on. And I'll see you all on Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time, so noon Eastern Time, and 5 p.m. in Europe right now, because Daylight Saving Time is weird. So, I will hopefully see all of you, and more of you there, and otherwise I hope you all have a good rest of your week. See ya!